This is a special report from About Space Today.
Welcome to Special Report. I'm David Denault. Artemis, the new beginning. Joining me are my co-hosts, Don Meyer and John Gomez. And before we get into our program, I received a number of emails on our introduction, The New Beginning. John, why don't you give About Space listeners an answer?
Well, David, NASA has only one more of the SLS Artemis rocket to be used for 2027's next moon landing attempt.
And how will we establish a lunar colony? Does it become Elon Musk's task now? Don?
Well, yes, NASA is planning on depending on SpaceX's Starship, as NASA Jim Free explains here.
We were at Starbase a couple weeks ago and really spent some time going through their major milestones to the Artemis 3 mission, which includes a prop transfer mission as well as the uncrewed demo. So really kind of sharing our philosophy, their philosophy, where they are with the hardware, trying to understand their schedule some more. So I think we'll look at that and update around that in the near future after we have some time to digest it.
Ever dream of an island getaway at an all-inclusive resort? Or going on an island-hopping cruise to multiple island destinations? See sun-bleached beaches and swim in the azure waters of the Caribbean Sea. Call today for your special discount prices to your island getaway. This is a special offer for About Space by calling 877-747-8631. And let's go and explore the islands of the Caribbean. Welcome back. Scheduled to launch no earlier than April 2026, the Artemis 2 mission will carry 4 astronauts on a free return trajectory around the moon and back to Earth. It will be the first crewed mission to venture beyond low Earth orbit and travel to the moon since Apollo 17 in 1972. And Dawn, last week you mentioned hearing from the crew.
Yes, David, and I'd like to share the meaning of the astronauts of Artemis 2 in their own words, starting with Christina Koch, Victor Glover, Jeremy Hansen, and Commander Reed Weissman.
When I was young, I had a poster of the Earthrise picture, the famous picture that was taken on Apollo 8. And the fact that it was a human behind the lens that made that picture so profound and changed how we all thought of our own home was so amazing to me. The moon is not just a symbol of thinking about our place in the universe. It's not just a symbol of exploration. It's actually a beacon for science. It's a beacon for understanding where we came from.
You know, pushing ourselves to explore is just core to who we are. It's a part of being a human. That's our nature. We go out there and we explore to learn about where we are, why we are, understanding the big questions about our place in the universe. The exploration we're doing is the first few steps on the path of getting humans to Mars.
The Artemis campaign and missions have set such an ambitious goal for humanity that it's inspiring contributions from around the globe. Not just one nation is inspired and moved by this, but nations from around the globe are coming together. When I look at the Artemis 2 crew with Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, they want to go do this mission. They are keenly driven. They are humble to a fault. It is so cool to be around them. Artemis 2 is a huge mission, but I hope we will look back and realize that this was one tiny step.
And John, you interviewed the first Canadian astronaut to travel beyond the International Space Station.
I did, David. I had a great chance to work with and talk with Jeremy Hansen. I got a lot of great information from him. The excitement, the pride that he has, and I think the wonder of it all. You know, when I asked him about, you know, going out into space and what he's looking forward to the most, just take a listen and you'll hear the excitement in his voice.
Pretty excited, as it's a dream come true for me to explore space. I've been excited about leaving planet Earth. I love it here, but I've been really excited about leaving it and going to space and seeing the planet from that perspective. This is an extraordinary opportunity to be part of sending humanity back to the moon. This is just one step of many to do that, but it's an important step, of course, like they all are. But eventually, our efforts on this mission are going to enable boots on the moon, create an international collaboration to do more in space, to go further in space. So I think this is extraordinarily important. Our contribution as a crew is pretty tiny compared to what's required overall from the team to make this possible. But it's a fun contribution. I'm enjoying the ride along the way. And so,
what was your family's reaction when they found out you'd be part of this historic mission?
They were super excited. Space exploration has been a big part of their lives, supporting me and pursuing this dream. I have 3 young adult children and my wife, and they've all been extraordinarily supportive along the way. But for them, this was them seeing me have this opportunity to achieve a lifelong goal. And they've been really excited for me. Of course, it's not lost on us that there's some risk involved. I had them here at the Cape just in March to show them, where they're going to be for launch, see the capsule, and where we'll spend some time together when we're in quarantine here. And but it was also a bit serious in that they were putting themselves in their future shoes and imagining the emotions that'll come along with watching their husband and father blast off on this. It had an impact on them. I don't think it teaches them anything new, but it is a profound human experience to see the Earth from space. Reed talks about it a lot. He's really excited to see my eyes and my smile when I see the planet from space for the first time. And so I know that'll be a really important and meaningful experience for me. But I've been really inspired myself by the reaction of people around the planet, how excited they are about humanity going back to the moon. And I have this sense that during Artemis 2, we're not going to solve all the world problems, but we are going to make a positive contribution in sending back images of our planet taken with human hands. And I think we hope, even if just for a moment, people will lift their heads up from all of the problems we have here on the planet, all the challenges we face, and just be reminded that we are one species working together on one planet, and we can do some really extraordinary things when we collaborate.
John, talk about what the astronauts will experience traveling 6,400 miles, or about 10,300 kilometers, beyond the moon and back to Earth.
Yeah, David, it's a harrowing mission. I mean, Artemis 2 is going to travel through at least some of the Van Allen radiation belt, where obviously the Orion's going to be put to the test around there. But the mission is involving a crewed flight around the moon, and it requires passing through these regions of charged particles that are trapped by Earth's magnetic field. The mission aims to test the spacecraft systems and ensure astronaut safety during this unique transit.
And Dawn, having worked in the Space Shuttle program for 28 years, how concerned was NASA during the Space Shuttle missions and the ISS about these entrapped particles?
David, there's always a concern for the crew and the vehicle on every flight. Now with these, you're going through, like you said, the Van Allen radiation belt, which is charged particles are mostly electrons and protons. But Artemis is going to take the Orion spacecraft and its crew on a trajectory that will take them through at least 2 of the Van Allen radiation belts. The primary goal is to demonstrate the spacecraft's ability to operate at safety within the radiation environment of deep space, including the Van Allen belts, and to test radiation shielding and monitoring systems. This is done with all flights so that you can have, and then you change for the next flight and the next flight until you get what you need before you have something that's an even longer duration. Understanding the radiation exposure is crucial for long-term duration missions, including those to the moon, which is what this is, and to Mars, because there's always more radiation outside the Earth, of course, because we have an atmosphere to surround us than you have in a small spacecraft like Orion.
Well, we've been discussing the Artemis 2 mission. Why don't we take a look and take the journey?
NASA's Artemis 2 is the first crewed lunar mission in over 50 years. 4 astronauts will venture around the moon, preparing humanity for a long-term lunar presence for scientific discovery and exploration. The 10-day test flight will demonstrate a range of deep space exploration capabilities with crew. The mission will prove the Orion spacecraft is ready to keep astronauts alive in deep space and allow the crew and ground teams to practice operations essential to the success of future missions. On launch day, the Artemis 2 crew suits up, undergoes final checks, and rides in the crew transportation vehicles to Launch Pad 39B at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. At 12 seconds before liftoff, the hydrogen burn-off igniters fire. About 6 seconds later, the rocket's 4 RS-25 engines ignite. When the countdown reaches 0, the umbilicals retract, giving only 8 million pounds of thrust to accelerate towards space. 75% of this power comes from the two 17-story solid rocket boosters, each producing 3.6 million pounds of thrust. About 2 minutes in, the boosters are released, their solid propellant consumed. The core stage and its RS-25 engines continue to propel Orion and the crew to space. After 3 minutes, the protective fairings surrounding Orion's service module are ejected, exposing its solar arrays. 6 seconds later, the launch abort system is ejected from Orion. The crew has safely reached Earth's core stage engines shut down, and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, or ICPS, and Orion separate from the core stage. Orion and the ICPS are now flying free. Orion's 4 solar arrays deploy, powering the spacecraft and charging its batteries for when it moves out of direct sunlight during the journey to the moon and back. After a 90-minute orbit, the engine of the rocket's upper stage, or ICPS, ignites to raise Orion to a high Earth orbit. The Artemis II crew and Mission Control in Houston then began a nearly 24-hour systems check while the astronauts are still relatively close to Earth, familiarizing themselves with their new home for the next several days. Once in high Earth orbit, Orion separates from the upper stage. The expended ICPS and Orion stage adapter serve as a target for a manual handling test called the Proximity Operations Demonstration, preparing future crews for rendezvous, docking, and undocking with other spacecraft. Following the demonstration, spacecraft data is collected to verify system performance, such as life support, communications, and navigation, ensuring Orion and the crew are ready for the voyage ahead. About 23 hours later, Orion's service module performs the Translunar Injection Burn, or TLI, pushing Orion out of Earth orbit and on an approximately 4-day trip to the moon. Ultimately, the crew's figure-8 flight path extends more than 230,000 miles from Earth. During the trip, the astronauts continue to evaluate the spacecraft systems and practice in over 50 years. Their observations will help us prepare for future missions at the moon. During this period, there will be an anticipated communication blackout between Mission Control and the spacecraft. As the crew returns from the far side of the moon, Orion is drawn home by Earth's gravity in a free return trajectory, ensuring a fuel-efficient 4-day trip. Before entering the atmosphere, Orion's crew module separates from the service module. Orion and the crew enter Earth's atmosphere at a speed of nearly 25,000 miles per hour. Decelerating at a rate up to 4 times the force of gravity, the crew will feel 4 times heavier than they do on Earth. Orion's heat shield protects the spacecraft from temperatures of about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, about half as hot as the surface of the sun. To slow its descent, Orion begins a precise deployment sequence of 11 parachutes. 3 forward bay cover parachutes first separate the protective thermal cover that sits over the chutes. 2 drogues slow and stabilize the crew module, then cut free. 3 pilot chutes lift the 3 main parachutes, deployed at an altitude of 9,000 feet and traveling 130 miles per hour. These chutes slow the crew module to a speed of less than 20 miles per hour. After traveling more than 595,000 nautical miles, Orion splashes down in the Pacific Ocean, about 50 nautical miles from the California coast, just 16 minutes after entering Earth's atmosphere. After splashdown, a recovery team that includes the U.S. Navy, Air Force, and NASA approaches Orion. The team ensures it's safe for the crew to exit before divers help the astronauts onto an inflatable front porch, hoist them into helicopters, and fly to the recovery ship. Orion is towed into the ship for its return to Kennedy Space Center. Their mission complete, the crew is flown back to land and step on solid ground for the first time in 10 days. This is Artemis II.
Be sure to join us again next Wednesday with Acting Administrator Sean Duffy's plan to build nuclear reactors on the moon. Hey, if you like our program, make sure you click like, follow, and most importantly, subscribe. For Dawn, for David, I'm John Gomez, and you just learned a little about space today.
This has been a special report from About Space Today.